What a game this promises to be. Manchester City, who for so many years have gone toe-to-toe with Liverpool at the top of the Premier League, who appear to have fallen off, welcome Liverpool to Anfield. And there is a little bit of pressure on Liverpool as well going into this, particularly if Arsenal can do their job against West Ham at the weekend. Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola has refused to say if Liverpool are a better side under Arne Slot than his predecessor Jurgen Klopp. He enjoyed a competitive rivalry with the German, who departed Anfield after a successful 8.5-year spell on Merseyside last summer. Here's what Pep has had to say about the difference between the two.
But I level consistency quite similar with Jurgen, so deserves to be up there, close to with Arsenal fighting for the title. So big compliment. So top team in many aspects. Otherwise, cannot be just lost. I think one game in the Premier League. So that's why good test for us.
Are they, because Liverpool have been praised for perhaps having a little bit more control in their games this season, are they stronger this year than they were under Klopp?
I'm not going to answer that question. I have much respect for Jurgen and Aaron. I know you want to go, but I will not play that game.
I think it was a fair question to ask. I don't think he was playing any game, but Pep Guardiola got a little bit defensive there. Look, City come into this having thrashed Newcastle last weekend, but then having suffered a really bruising defeat at the Bernabeu in midweek. So how do you see this one going, Kweku? Where's your head at in terms of this fixture? Because on paper, right now, Liverpool are by far the better team.
They're by far the better team, and we heard from William Hill that this is the first time in a long time that Man City go into a game at the Etihad as underdogs, but it's still the Etihad. And I said before, great teams have gone there this season and not won, including Arsenal, including Newcastle, who got turned over, including Chelsea. I wouldn't say Chelsea are a great team. Forest, the best teams in the division, still haven't won at the Etihad. I know that Man City are a far cry from or far away from what they used to be, but Liverpool have always struggled there, and I think they're going to struggle there this weekend. This is a Liverpool team that are probably facing the most difficult part of the season, especially when it comes to their form, especially when it comes to the mentality as well. We're hearing more noise out of Liverpool than we have heard all season. And so I think this game, 4:30, all eyes on me, prime fixture on the weekend, everyone's settled in to watch it. I think that Liverpool are going to struggle, and I think Man City are going to be up for the challenge.
It looks like Erling Haaland's probably going to miss this game, which is obviously a massive blow to Manchester City. And I think for a long time this season, we've all been trying to put our finger on exactly what's gone wrong. And there's been multiple things discussed. Obviously, Rodri's absence through injury is one of them. Some of the players that have departed the club in recent seasons, people are looking at them and thinking, did they ever really replace them? You know, that rebuild that we've all talked about City needing is underway, to be fair to them. They have spent a fair bit of money in January. But a player that still is at the club, whose role I think is a little bit difficult to kind of define right now, is Kevin De Bruyne. He wasn't used in midweek, and it kind of looks like his time at the Etihad is coming to an end. Let's have a listen to what Pep Guardiola had to say about the Belgians' role.
Normally I don't speak not for Kevin. You know, the relation with Kevin is exceptional. So I cannot be thank enough what done to me, to the team, and everyone. It's just decision. Normally I don't speak with the players, not just the Kevin, anyone, why they play. They don't ask me the reason why when I decide to let them play in the beginning or during the game. It's just the decisions for what seen, for many reasons, not a few reasons. So it's not, never ever is personal, never ever is I'm upset, never ever. Also Jeremy didn't play. And the last game played, I think, was in Ipswich Town, plays unbelievable, the game, you know, and after the 70 minutes was injured. But maybe for the demanding, for the way now we need to play, because for the absence of strength that we have, and physicality and many things, we need the games for more control or more not up and down. Don't tell me why. So it's not personal, I decided decisions and that's all. So no more than that.
Do you believe that Pep Guardiola doesn't speak to his players about why they're playing or not playing? I think that that's him in a way, sort of protecting Kevin De Bruyne from the truth, which is actually he's not at the level anymore, physically, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe it or not. It's quite difficult to decipher what is real and what's not at Man City at the moment. It seems like the club is just going through a transitional period. In terms of Kevin De Bruyne, I say that he's one of the Avengers, right? When you think of about this Man City team that have been dominant, you think about Kevin De Bruyne, you think about Erling Haaland, you think about previously a Kyle Walker and Ederson, but his powers are clearly waning. And when you saw Man City midweek against Real Madrid, there was still an idea or thought that, still Man City, they'll make a game of it. But in that game, they didn't have De Bruyne starting. They didn't have Erling Haaland starting. Obviously, no Rodri for the whole season. There was no way they were going to win that game. And I think that with De Bruyne, it's a bit more difficult because if he was injured, it's a lot more simple because he's out and you don't have to worry about selecting him. But because he is not injured and he's still available for selection, but he has been one of Man City's greatest ever players, Pep has to deal with this situation a little bit more delicately than he has to deal with other situations because Kevin De Bruyne probably in his mind thinks he can still contribute in a big way for Man City, and he can in spurts, but starting week in, week out, I think those days are behind him. And maybe in a one-off game against Liverpool where Man City want to kind of ruffle feathers, Kevin De Bruyne can come to the fore, but I think week in, week out in the Premier League, I think his body's just failing him at the moment, and I don't believe he'll be at Man City beyond the summer.
The thing is, he could easily rock up in Serie A or La Liga and be one of the best players on the pitch. He's got that in him, that the talent level is there. On Liverpool, they weren't at their best away at Villa, but they managed to get a point. And I think that's quite significant. I know people focus on the fact that they drop points and all the rest of it, but I think this resilience that they have, this ability to get something from games even when they're not playing very well, I think that's ultimately one of the big reasons that they are the favourites for the Premier League title.
Yeah, not losing is huge. When I look at this Liverpool team, and they are struggling at the moment in terms of picking up wins, but where you don't lose games, you still have that confidence and belief that someone's going to have to really come and be on their A game to beat you. And that's why I think this weekend, I do think Man City make it difficult for Liverpool, but I don't think Liverpool lose. I don't think Liverpool lose that game just because they've got that know-how, they've got that strength of mentality in terms of let's go there and show what we can do, even though we're not playing our best football and physically we might be feeling it a little bit. It's such an interesting tie though, because for years and years this was the Premier tie. This is the tie that decided league titles, and right now Man City are there for the taking. It's whether Liverpool can take it from them, and I just don't think this is the weekend for it for Liverpool.
Let me ask you this. Liverpool obviously go to City on Sunday. They then play Newcastle at home on Wednesday. And as an Arsenal fan, I can tell you that they are two fixtures that Gunners fans are looking at and hoping are going to go their way in terms of being able to kind of claw back some of that ground on Liverpool. If Liverpool were to win both games, which they're more than capable of doing, is that the title race done?
Yeah.
Finished?
Yeah.
I think so too.
I think so. They beat Newcastle at home. At home is a different prospect. At Anfield, Liverpool can not be playing well, but that added factor of playing at home kind of gets them over the line. I think this is the weekend where they will drop points. I think this is the weekend where Arsenal fans will feel like they're in the title race because Arsenal should beat West Ham, and I think that Man City have got something for Liverpool. But if Liverpool win both those games, to answer your question, then yeah, I think the title is done. I think what Liverpool have got as well this season is that previous years, Mo Salah's kind of waned towards the back end of the year. His numbers at the front at the beginning of the season are always so much better than his numbers at the back end of the year. But I feel like he can see the finishing line. He can see the glory. He can see what comes with winning his second Premier League title. He enters rarefied air. We're now having conversations. I know you disagree with it. Is he as good as Thierry Henry? Is he as great as Thierry Henry? Not as a footballer technically, but in terms of the pantheon of Premier League greats, he can now chat to Thierry Henry. He's got 2 titles. He's got multiple golden boots.
He can chat to him, yeah. That's about it.
That's about it. I think we could have a proper conversation about it. I was still leaning on the side of Thierry Henry, but Mo Salah's also got the factor that he won the Champions League while playing for Liverpool, scored in the final, which is something that Thierry Henry never did for Arsenal. And so they can chat to each other. I'm just not me digging out Henry.
I think there was a point where Thierry Henry was the best player in the world.
Yeah.
I don't think there's ever been a point where Mo Salah's been the best player in the world.
Who's the best player in the world right now?
Mbappe, Vinicius Jr.
Better than Mo Salah.
They're both better than Mo Salah.
I think this year's a big a big year for Mo Salah because Liverpool could win the Champions League. And I think if Liverpool win the Champions League and the Premier League and Mo Salah's their best player, that you can't tell me that any of those players are better than Mo Salah. So let's have a look. And so to bring it back to this Liverpool-Man City game, I think that Mo Salah's got enough in the locker to keep giving you those numbers to get Liverpool over the line in this title race, but it will be a title race.
Producer Jeremy's shaking his head. He doesn't agree with my wild statement. I don't blame him.
Why? What's he think?
Listen, I'm going to defend Thierry Henry. I don't care if you agree with me or not. That's how it goes. Salah's the best in the world at the moment. There's an argument for it, but not clear. It's not clear. He's not clearly better than Kylian Mbappe. He's not clearly better than Vinicius Jr. He's up there in the conversation, but to be the undisputed best in the world is something very special.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.